Well, we haven't made a video for a while, and there's a variety of reasons for that. One of them, skin cancer cut out of the side of my face. All sorts of things have been happening that we haven't made a video. We've been very busy. When I have been here on the farm, we've been too busy riding. We've just come back from a ride now. The reason I'm making this video is to explain one reason why I've been away, and that is because I had the opportunity to go to the big smoke, go to my capital city and take a Ineos Grenadier for a test drive. Now, I don't know if you know what an Ineos Grenadier is, but basically you must know Land Rover. If you know Land Rover, you'd know the long wheelbase, the Defender 4-door station wagon. So what happened is Land Rover, traditional English company from 1948, made Land Rovers, took over Australia, the Snowy Mountain scheme, South Africa, all those farms in South Africa, Rhodesia. Wonderful company, Land Rovers. Sadly, like just about every British company that exists, and probably Australian too, it went bankrupt, it went bust, it's been sold overseas. So let's skip to a man who loved his Defender. He absolutely adored his Defender. Who was that? That was a bloke called Peter Ratcliffe. Now, Peter Ratcliffe isn't your average bloke, because Peter is a billionaire. Notice I don't say millionaire, he is a billionaire, mate. Don't you wish he... Anyway, moving on. So he's a billionaire, loved his personal Defender, and when it was time for him to get a new Defender, there wasn't one. Company's been sold overseas. The new Defender made by this company overseas, every report you read about it says that the new Defender is a wonderful vehicle for taking the kids to school, for going to doing the grocery shopping. So Peter Ratcliffe, billionaire extraordinaire, decides, I can't buy a new Defender. How about I make one? So what he decides to do is to get his dream Land Rover Defender, get rid of any little faults or niggles that he may have had with the old Defender, straighten them all out and bring out a new Defender. Now, if I'm going to keep this short, there have been some issues with where was he going to build it, was he breaching trademarks, what names could he or couldn't he use, what patents. But let's forget all about that and simply talk about the Grenadier. First off, why did he choose to call it the Grenadier? That was because he's a billionaire, and billionaires can do whatever the hell they like. So he's an English billionaire, and in London there's a very flash, upmarket, expensive suburb called Belgravia. Don't go into the suburb wearing jeans and sneakers, for heaven's sake. Anyway, in that posh, suburb, there's a pub. It's called the Grenadier, and this billionaire really likes this pub, so he thought, how about I call my new Defender the Grenadier after my favourite pub? So then he went looking to build it. Where's he going to get his factory? And the Welsh government, as most governments do, bend over backwards to try and help new business. It looked like this was going to go ahead. Anyway, cut a long story short, Wales fell through, and he ended up buying a factory in France. There's all sorts of rumours about what deals he did or didn't get from the French government. We're not going to go down that path either, because I don't want to get sued. But anyway, what then happened is this man decides it's going to be a 4-door station wagon to start with, and the only way you can get one is to put down, in Australia, put down a $5,000 cash deposit right now, even though they haven't started building them. And then, when the time comes for yours to be built, pay for it in full. There are no dealers in Australia, and that's because you buy the vehicle from France. In Australia, if you've bought a Grenadier, because a few have landed now in the last couple of weeks, a few have actually landed. If you've bought one, then you actually have some arrangements made so that you know the price in Australian dollars, and you don't have hassles with overseas money transfers. But you are not buying your Grenadier in Australia from an Australian dealer. You are buying it from the factory in France, aided by an Australian agent. So when he decided he wanted to build the perfect Defender. If you see photos of the new Grenadier, many people confuse it for a Defender because he wanted it to look like his much loved Defender. But of course he didn't want to go to the trouble of building engines and transmissions and diffs and gear, so he went looking for the world's best, and he picked BMW to provide his engines, either petrol or diesel, your choice. He picked a company called ZF for the transmissions, and if you've in any way been involved in cars as a hobby, you will know that ZF automatic transmissions are fabulous, state-of-the-art, unbreakable, magnificent transmissions. Small thing here, because I bet you didn't know. If you've ever heard of ZF transmissions, if you're a bit of a car enthusiast, you might have heard about it, and you might think, ZF, that's a strange name for a company. Why don't they put their well, the name of the company is the Zeppelin Foundation. So seeing they're named after Zeppelin bombers, they're probably happy to just stick with ZF or ZF, I suppose, for my American friends. So that's how they, and the seating, let's not build seats, why do that? Let's just get Recaro to make our seats. So you get the gist of when you look at any of the parts, the axles, all of these things, they're made by very prestigious, upmarket, well-known quality manufacturers. The vehicle is a four-wheel drive, obviously. It's permanent four-wheel drive, high and low range, and it is designed to be the ultimate four-wheel drive, allegedly. So Peter says that when they were testing to make his Grenadier the perfect Land Rover Defender, they bought Land Rovers, Jeeps, Broncos, Toyota Land Cruisers, they bought Nissan Patrols, they bought everything to compare to make sure they got the best. So there you go. This video is actually a result of, I put a photograph on my Facebook page of me with the Grenadier, and a lot of people said, nice Defender, is that your Defender? And then when I explained it's not a Land Rover Defender at all, it's an Ineos Grenadier, there was only a couple. Peter, my Greek friend Peter, straight away he said, oh, made in France. So anyway, that's why I've decided to make this video to explain what an Ineos Grenadier is. Ineos, by the way, is a chemical company. That's how Ratcliffe made his billions, from the chemical company. At the time I'm making this video, interestingly, Grenadier's only been for sale a very short time in Australia. In our little suburb of South Australia, they've sold 71 so far. That's only in a couple of weeks, but there's a lot more orders in. There was talk when the company was originally set up that it would be a joke. It was a millionaire's fantasy. It would be a failure. The reality is, when they set up the company and they said, yes, you can pay a cash deposit for one, they were so flooded with orders they had to say no to the United States of America. They were so worried the orders they would get from America and how long the delivery times would stretch out to. They said no to the USA. When you buy one, as I've said, you put down your $5,000 deposit, and then what happens is when your time comes that they're going to make yours, they send you a message from France, a French letter. Let's not go down that path of that World War I joke. Moving on. They send you an email, and the email says, we're about to start making your vehicle, and we're not going to until you pay for it. So here in Australia, when they send you that, you've already paid your $5,000 deposit, they send you a message and say, we're about to start making yours. This will be its VIN number. Now you've got to pay for it in full. It's still going to be a couple of months before you get it. And so people that said this was going to be a joke or a disaster, there are none available to buy. If you want to buy one, you have to put an order in, and then the factory will make it for you. So at the moment, every single Grenadier that rolls off the production line has already been paid for. It's not like, oh, we're going to sell these cars. They don't even come off the production line until they have already been fully paid for. And I think the last thing is, just for the American friends, Yeah, it's getting boring, is it? No, he can see his lunch. His lunch is just about to be delivered to him. That's why. We'll see how he behaves, because Helen's just made his lunch. So the last thing I'll leave you with is that the Grenadier will start taking orders in December of 2023 for North Americans to start putting down their deposit. And basically, people thought it was a joke, thought he'd go under, thought he'd lose his shirt. It's coming, mate, it's coming. And every single one is sold before it's made, and they cannot make them fast enough. So there you go. Peter has obviously, Ratcliffe that is, obviously fell on his feet, billionaire or not, named after his favourite pub. Just like Mr. Musk, who had a switch on the dash of Teslas originally. Speed ludicrous, because when he was a kid he was a fan of the Meatballs movie. The things you can do when you're a billionaire or a multi-billionaire. Alright mate, wouldn't swap for quids if I had to give up this pony. Cheers, till next time.